It's dealing with Gideon and the story of Gideon. Wonderful story. Uh, Dealing with Gideon. And I really want to share it with you, if I may, this evening, because it's a story that really permeates what's going on in today's society. And God is really looking for a Gideon to raise up in these troubling times. As you all may know, and I'm sure you've seen all across social media, the senseless killings in Chicago, where in the month of August, just last month, I think Chicago had around 98 murders in that city. And lo and behold, in Milwaukee, they had 90 deaths in the month of August in their city as well. So you're talking nearly 200 people, 200 of God's people dead in these cities. And then you have the police brutality that's going on, the police murders that have been taking place over and over and over again. And yet it seems like there's no ending. There's no hope. And everybody, again, on social media, they're chiming in and putting in their 2 cents of what they would do and what they would not do. And this person is racist and that person is racist. And then you got the LGBT try to always take over the spotlight in their own fashion with the Black Lives Matter movement. That's a whole nother subject. But what I'm trying to say is we have a lot of issues that's taking place in this society, along with calamities that has happened in New Orleans and other parts of this world. There have been earthquakes recently in certain cities around the globe. People are dying. You're talking about 10,000 people a day are dying or more on the continent of Africa from all types of diseases. Then there's another several hundred are dying a day in Haiti from basic clean water. Here you are in the most incredible planet. Forget about the United States on Earth that supposedly have humanitarians all over the world. And you got these babies that are dying because they ain't got no clean water from malaria and all other types of diseases. Nearly $10 billion was received for the Haiti people in Haiti from their disaster. And they haven't seen but a few hundred thousands. About 80 homes built. The rest are just tents and huts, temporarily homes. We lost tens of thousands of people in this devastating earthquake. And yet you got all these leaders and politicians and preachers and so on and so forth, and nobody is fighting for Haiti. I thank God I am. I've done several shows on the Holy Spirit radio show dealing with Haiti and all that oil and minerals and gold that they discovered in Haiti. And now they're running over, all the Europeans are running to plunder and rape that city, that wonderful nation, out of its riches that God placed there. I tell people all the time, God said in his word, everywhere you walk, you will be blessed. And sometimes we're so blessed we don't even know it. So it's one of a story about Gideon in Judges chapter 6, verse 1 through 8, and then 35. Is an extraordinary story about how God can use anybody and how he can raise a people at any given time. So awesome and so marvelous on how God is and how God is constantly moving from glory to glory. So here you are uh, in Judges dealing with this man, Gideon. But before Gideon, it opens up dealing with Joshua, who has gotten God's people, as God promised, to the promised land. And soon after getting them there, Joshua dies. So he dies, and everything is restored. Everything is how God ordered it for his people that are now living in milk and honey. What a mighty God we serve. So they're living in milk and honey, and yet they begin to worship other gods and begin to mingle with other people. And lo and behold, their neighbors, the Amalekites and the Midianites, are these treacherous people. I mean, just treacherous. And there were so many of them, they said that it was like counting the sand. So you know they just everything was filth everywhere they went. You're talking about camels and horses and all kind of animals. I can imagine. Wasn't no green grass growing because it couldn't nothing grow. And every time the Israelites would forget about God, like most of us do, when things are going good, we twerking, watching videos, smut TV, housewives of this, hip hop of that, power, scandal. They even talking about it in the church. So we're doing our own thing, but we're still thinking, I'm a child of God. That's what they thought too. And you may not know it, but you running around calling yourself the Bayhive, that's a God. That's idol worship. Your favorite football team, that's your God. You got folks been waiting all summer long for football to start. And the first day of football, NFL season, is the worst day of church. They ain't going. Even the women ain't going. So here this man, Gideon, who was a farmer, by the way, and he was content with being a farmer, very, very poor, living in squalor. But Gideon was hiding in a wine press threshing wheat. And you know, normally when you thresh wheat, you want to have it out in an opening so the chaff can blow away. But nevertheless, because of the Midianites and the Amalekites, who would at times, every time they would plant a seed, the Israelites, uh, these rotten neighbors, if you will, would destroy their seeds, and take their animals, their oxen, and all the donkeys, and they would take them from them and leave them with nothing. So that's where Gideon comes in. He's hiding, trying to save some food from these Midianites, or the people from the east, as they say in the Bible. I urge you to read that entire chapter. So this man, Gideon, had no need to be, didn't want to do anything. It was like didn't want to be a leader, didn't want to be a politician. He just loved doing what he was doing, and that was nothing. He was a coward. He was a small man in stature, very fearful, but bitter. He was angry with God because He said, wait a minute, ain't this the same God that said he delivered us from Israel and I mean from Egypt, that he would be with them, and how can this God leave us? So he had some issues with God, so to speak. So then God decides, well, the people decided to again to cry out for God. They're crying out for some help. Hey, send us some help. We're starving. We can't feed our families. We're living in squalor. So this particular time, as God has always done, he searches to raise a judge or leader to lead his people uh, into victory. Even though they've jumped out of the will of God, decided to do what they want to do. And by the way, these same people had committed 7 sins, major sins. What I'm saying, they did this over and over for 300 years. Does that sound familiar? 300 years off and on, they keep going through the same thing. That should be a mighty, mighty wake up call to the people on this planet. And God kept his word every time, and he delivered them from their enemies. And this time he raises up Gideon, who way in the corner, out there beyond the field in the wine press, hiding, pressing wheat. And God called him, and Gideon said, wait a minute, you calling me? Why? I'm a coward. What you calling me for? You got outstanding people out there, outstanding politicians in the community, and leaders, so-called leaders, and preachers and all that kind of stuff, and law-abiding citizens. And why are you calling me? I'm a nobody. God called Gideon because God has no respected person. And if God has need for you, God will use you. Again, read the story, man. It's a powerful story. People are always sitting around waiting for some big name, T.D. Jakes or somebody to come and save them and give them the blueprint or the answer to all the racial brutality going on. And God is raising up these young folk, these young people that you're overlooking because you're looking for a Messiah. And you're not looking at the works of God using people to raise them up. The lowest of the lowest. Gideon was a straight coward. Nobody, not even his own family, would have chosen him. But God did. God did. So nevertheless, Gideon, the story goes, he's not sure if God is talking to him, so he asks God for several signs. Show me some signs that it's you, man. I mean, hey, you want me to go out here and fight the Midianites and all them people? There's several 100,000 of them. How am I going to beat them with their fortified cities and whatnot? So God shows him a sign, just like everyday folk. Not one time, not two times, but 3 times. God had to prove that he was talking to God. And then finally, when he begins to get the people together and gather the people together, he has around 10,000 people. And God told him, hey, that's too many. He looking like, what? That's too many. You got 10,000. That's too many. So God asked them to tell them whoever said they're afraid, let them go home. And they got out of there. The majority of them got out of there fast as they could. And God told me, you still got too many. So he take them down to the river. and see who would get on all fours and lap the water, or who would get on their knee and put the water in their hand as they're watching for the enemy. Those are the ones you keep. Gideon found 300. He went from 10,000 to 300. And the story goes that God gets Gideon to go down and listen to the people and what they were saying. And this one man talked about a dream he had. And from that dream, talked about Gideon having victory. One thing he had to do, and I should have said this previously, what he had to do before he began his journey was he had to tear down all the gods. You see, before these people could be blessed and restored, you got to get rid of all your garbage. Yeah, they cried to God, but still they held on to their gods and their things. And God told Gideon to burn them up, destroy them, tear them down, and to build a new one. And Gideon did exactly that, and he did it at nighttime because he was afraid of what might happen to him. And even when the folks woke up that morning, they found out eventually that Gideon did it. They wanted to stone him to death. Till somebody said, hey, if he destroyed a god, then let the God deal with it. Here it is, this man is saving their lives, and they don't even know it. God is searching for Gideon today to really move some people, man. Not for your sake, not for your family's sake, but for God's people's sake. And one thing you understand in leadership, you're not always going to be liked. People going to probably hate you. And I always say that you got to understand, if you are liked by so many people, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. If you're loved by so many people, you can't be walking with Jesus, because he told you, when you walk with me, you're going to be persecuted. And Gideon trusted everything in God and destroyed everything that was not of God in order to usher in this victory. You got to clean your house. You got to start from the bottom and gut it out. And that's what this wonderful story that I love so much talks about. And he goes on to have his victory, of course, and he destroys the Amalekites and the Midianites, and he destroyed some other people along the way. But my point is, if you really want the victory, what are you hiding in your threshold? What are you hiding in your wine press? What is it that you got to get rid of in order to get in the right position so God can move you and lift you up? Many people have so many bad habits that they want to hide them from even their own family. And you're walking around saying, I'm a child of God. I'm blessed and highly favored. And God has been waiting for you to get rid of all those things in your closet in order to raise you up to be a judge for his people. You got to understand that. And again, that means you're not going to be liked. But all things come together for the good. And we know that. And we know that all also will. This story of Gideon is what we're seeing in today's world. When you look at how we're going on about Colin Kaepernick, I'm not saying he's a Gideon, but hear me out. About him standing, not standing, however you want to put it. But my point is, he's making his stance his way. Wasn't trying to get attention, but he was standing on his own principles. And now he's being persecuted on all sides. Even some folks saying he's mulatto, so you can't trust him. But at least he's trying to move and stand for something. And so many people out here, God has put you on a major platform, and you so concerned about your branding, you can care less about God and how God is trying to use you. Cam Newton comes to mind. God put you on that platform to be a leader, a judge, to move young folks, as he did with Joshua. Because all them old folks with Moses, they won't do nothing. So God used young leaders, young judges, to move his people. When are you going to begin to move? When are you going to begin to get in position to really hear a word from God and to trust God and obey God and to get rid of all your idols, all the things that you worship so much, and get all your attention focused on God? And you look around with all this police brutality, all these killings in these major cities, and it looks like, man, it ain't gonna never stop. And God is saying, am I the same God that got you out of Egypt, fed you when you was hungry, gave you fresh manna every day? I'm the same God then as yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I always say this, and I believe this to be true. What the world is trying to tell you, and I'm going to end this real quick. What the world is trying to tell you is that they dare you to try your God. The government say, hey, I got you paying taxes. I got you going working. I tricked you into getting an education so I can get you in debt as early as 22 years old or whatever. When you graduate, you got to bow down to me. You got to adhere to me, and in return, I'm gonna give you poisonous foods and water, fake medicine. I'm gonna pollute the air. I'm gonna put so much stuff in your water that it turns your kids' sexuality upside down. But I'm gonna dumb you down so much, whereas when something does happen, you don't even move. That is your God. That is your Nebuchadnezzar. We are living in Babylon. And folk are closing their eyes as tight as they can, hoping that if I pray hard enough and if I meditate and everything and the energy is right, it'll go away. The devil is a liar. All through that Bible, God raised people to fight the enemy. But God fought the battle. But they won the battle when they got fear out of the way and began to trust God. Very simple. They make it so difficult, but it's very simple. David had to fight. Gideon had to fight. Abraham had to fight. Even Jacob wrestled with the angels. And you thinking you just gonna sit around and do absolutely nothing, but saying we shall overcome. Get in position. Get right with God. Get rid of the fear and begin to fight the good fight. Whatever it is God has called you to do, walk it out, man. Walk it out, sisters. He's with you, and he will never, ever, ever forsake you. This is Minister G.R. Harden. I wanted to bring that to you because it was really in my spirit about Gideon and Judges and how God is trying to raise up a leader, and he's searching for that leader today. And that may very well be you. Thank you for tuning into this channel. I hope to see you soon. Peace and God bless.